Vishayandriya Sangyogam Yatadagre Mitopamam Pariname Vishameva Tatsukam Rajasam Smritam. That is Rajasic Sukh. In the beginning it seems like nectar, but in the end it turns to poison. Good friend at school brought some. He said, I went to London over the weekend, I met some Hare Krishna people, they gave me these books. And he was very enthusiastic to show them to me. Bhagavad Gita as it is, and I believe the other book was Sri Upanishad. I said, I don't see these books. I know these Indian gurus, they're all cheaters. That was the impression I got. You talk about, what is that, the sahibs who never left? Actually, our Śrīla Prabhupāda, he told us that also. He said Nehru was made in London. That was one of his slogans. If you can't have a relationship, you get married and you can't sustain that relationship, that means there's something seriously wrong, and if it's a pattern repeated in society, it means there's something seriously wrong with the whole society. People maybe not even know the name of Adi Shankaracharya. In Tamil Nadu, if you say Ramanuja, people think of the mathematician. But Ramanujacharya, such an influential acharya, most people have never heard of him. And then if you're a Christian, you're supposed to go to heaven if you're in the right church. Otherwise you go to hell. It's not enough to be a Christian.
If you're in the right church.
No. I was born in a Roman Catholic family, and the Protestants, with their church on the other side of the street, they're all going to hell. And in the Protestant church, they say if you're on the Roman Catholic side, you're going to hell.
Yeah. If I have to ask you, what changes you have seen in Bharat in the last 40 years, Namaskar. Welcome to this special episode of the Changemakers show by Prachyam. Hindu Dharma is the only Dharma amongst all other religions in the world which believes in the concept of reincarnation. Bhagwan Krishna says in Gita, in the 6th chapter, that the sadhak whose sadhana remains incomplete in the previous life, he is born in a suitable environment in the next life, and he continues his sadhana. He picks it up from there where he had left it in the previous life. And you would see so many examples in this world too. Today, on our show, there is a very special guest who was born in UK in a Roman Catholic family. But it was his sadhana and sanskars of the previous life that he was drawn back to Bharat to adopt to the spirituality, the spiritual discipline and spiritual life of our great country, to become a disciple of Śrīla Prabhupāda ji of ISKCON and to become a Swami. I welcome to my show Bhakti Vikāsa Swāmī ji. Welcome so much, Swami.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
And before I proceed, may I remind you once again that Prachyam is the first truly Bharatiya Sanatani Hindu OTT platform in the world. Please log on to www.prachyam.com and subscribe to it. Please download the Prachyam apps on your phone. There are more than 400 films, series, shows, and amazing content on Bharatiya Sanskriti, Gyan Vijnana Darshan, Rishi Parampara, and our Itihas. Do watch it and share it widely. There is a section of Prachyam kits for your children. Please show it to them. There is a section of Prachyam Nad for the music lovers who love Bharatiya, Shastriya, Upashastriya, and Lok Sangeet. Please enjoy that. And if you want to contribute in any way to make an ahuti in this Maha-Anushtan of Prachyam, log on to prachyam.org and donate whatever you want to donate. Do watch, do share, do like, and do comment on Prachyam videos. So Swamiji, once again, I really welcome you on my show. Thank you for coming to Prachyam Studios. I saw your books. I saw the voluminous work that you have done.
This is just a few of them.
And there's so much in the background.
Oh, I see.
So all this time I had been trying to figure out that what questions do I ask you? How to start it? Because for someone who has done so much, it's not easy. to interview him. So let me ask you.
I'm just thinking you're saying so much, but there's so much to do, so much not done.
Well, I also believe in the same thing.
You have to remember also, I'm one among the disciples of Śrīla Prabhupāda, and there are many disciples of the disciples of Śrīla Prabhupāda, and many are doing amazing services, and there are many unsung heroes also. I'm a little bit in the limelight for some of the things that ahankara vimudhatma, I'm thinking I am doing, but there are many, many, many working hard, dedicatedly.
Absolutely. But the first question that comes to my mind is that how this journey started, how you were drawn to this spiritual life.
Well, I think you mentioned that in the introduction, that it's a journey. We can't exactly see the beginning, it's in a previous life, and you mentioned that tatra tang buddhi sangyogam labate paurvadehikam, that the incomplete yogi takes it up in the next life. But really the real force, the real crucial factor is Guru Kripa, because without that you're going nowhere. Śrīla Prabhupāda, he's not really appreciated or known much. Nowadays people see ISKCON sadhus from the West, and the people have grown up and they just take it as normal. But it created a sensation in Bharat at that time. How can there be Western, and many people protested. I remember people used to say to me, you can't be a Hindu, you have to be born a Hindu. And I would say, well, actually I didn't really have an idea to be a Hindu per se, it just kind of happened to me. But it's Guru Kripa. Śrīla Prabhupāda took the trouble, tremendous trouble, to go alone with not even any moral support, just the order of his guru and the faith in Krishna's words, and went to the Western countries and struggled, and Krishna sent people to him who had... There's a funny story I'll tell you. How much Śrīla Prabhupāda's first disciples were totally ignorant of anything to do with Bharatiya Sanskriti. So Śrīla Prabhupāda, he had a few followers by giving them the name of Krishna, giving them prasad cooked with love, and then he had a little storefront which was rented, and they decided to decorate it. So they had, some of them had been to India, and they brought back some pictures. That was from Brijbasi Prince. You remember that from Mathura? So they had all different pictures, and they posted them up around the storefront, around the walls. But they didn't know what the pictures represented. So there was one picture of Hanuman, famous picture, and one of them asked, "What is it, Swamiji? Is it a cat?" Everyone in India, including the Muslims and the Christians and the atheist Hindus, everyone knows that Hanuman is a monkey, a divine monkey, but a monkey. But they had no idea, so far away. And now the same people are teaching this culture to Indians. It's magic. It's Krishna's magic.
Yeah, absolutely.
But how Prabhupada transformed. It was unbelievable. He told no meat eating. Okay, many of Prabhupada's Western disciples were already vegetarians, which was unusual at that time, but it was just coming up. But the rules, no illicit sex, that was impossible to preach to Westerners. No intoxication. He was going among the hippies who were, they thought God had come in the form of LSD, the pill, or in the form of marijuana. He was able to give this to them by his own spiritual strength, by his love, by giving them the reality of understanding the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, who we are, what is our purpose in life. And again, it comes to reincarnation. It makes sense. That was, I talk about my journey. It just makes so much, nothing, I was growing up and nothing in the world seemed to make any sense. You're born, and then you jump around a little bit, and then you die. And then if you're a Christian, you're supposed to go to heaven if you're in the right church. Otherwise you go to hell. It's not enough to be a Christian.
If you're in the right church.
No. I was born in a Roman Catholic family, and the Protestants with their church on the other side of the street, they're all going to hell. And in the Protestant church, they say if you're on the Roman Catholic side, you're going to hell. So I was confused. I thought, oh, this is really dangerous. What am I going to do? There's no intelligent way I could understand which side of the road to go on. I thought I might stand in the middle of the road and see what side God comes down on and quickly run. And it doesn't make any sense. That you have to believe this philosophy, which doesn't make any sense anyway. And if you don't believe in it, you go to hell forever. And then you get reincarnation. God gives you many chances. Explains everything.
And the same thing is with Islam also.
Islam, yeah. The same thing. You have to be Muslim. Okay, all right, I'm going to be Muslim. So should I be a Sunni or a Shia? And the Shias will say, you have to be a Shia, otherwise you go to hell. And Sunni. No intelligent way to understand. You better edit that out because I'll get in trouble.
No, but yet, Swamiji, there are billions of people who are following these religions.
Yeah.
I mean, have they not understood or figured out?
There are billions of people, maybe not billions nowadays, smoking cigarettes, which they know is harmful. There are billions of people who watch really stupid movies. People are stupid. I saw you had that book on the Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Did you read that book?
No, I haven't read it.
Yeah, he points out that how people need meaning in life. And even the atheist, Richard Dawkins, he says that the universe, it has no meaning and everything. But by saying there's no meaning, he's trying to explain what is meaning. He has meaning in his life by going around and telling people. He has a sense of mission in going around the world and telling people that there's no meaning in anything. So people like a story, anthropologists call that. We all have a story that we need to live our life by. But what is reality? That we should consider also.
But amongst these billions, there are some very intelligent
Very
people.
intelligent, and I would say I have seen in Christianity some spiritual people, deeply. In Islam, deeply religious people. So it's not that it's all for nothing. You do get some points also. But to understand ultimate reality, then first of all, we should accept reincarnation. I mean, even from the anecdotal evidence that is available, there are so many anecdotes of young children remembering details from a previous life.
Oh, yes.
And there's no way to explain it except reincarnation.
You're right, absolutely. And I'm going to talk about that, about reincarnation in detail with you. But before that, coming back to my first question, when did you come to know about Śrīla Prabhupāda? Or when did you, when this calling it came into
It was a gradual thing. If I look back on my life, I didn't really think that I was moving towards what nowadays we would call spirituality. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, you maybe not heard of this, but it's accepted as the most authoritative biography of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is it in short, very short.
I've read it. Yeah.
And his teachings. So in there's one verse that Kono bhage karo sangsar koyan mok hoy sadhu sange tobe Krishna rati upajoy. It's very beautiful, and says that by good fortune, if someone is feeling just unhappy, disorientated in material existence, if at that time they get the association of devotees of Krishna, then their feelings of Krishna consciousness, feelings for Krishna, will awaken. So it's a question of bhagya, which is translated into English as luck. But it means a lot more than that, because there's understanding that God's not playing dice with the universe, that we get opportunities according to our previous activities and inclinations. So I was actually, if we're to discuss these things, then even one point can be a big world. But this Shangsha Koyanmuk, Kshayonmuk, there's Bengali pronunciation, Koyanmuk. When someone is feeling out of place or discombobulated, to use that American word, with material existence, then at that time, if they get the association of sadhus, then their spiritual awakening can take place. So I was undergoing this. I just didn't, growing up in England, comfortable, but something's wrong, and I just don't feel part of this. And it gradually built up and built up. The turning point for me, which it wasn't a eureka moment, but was getting a book of Śrīla Prabhupāda's, the Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I read it, I couldn't understand much at all. Oh, I don't know, there's so many things to say. Even before that, I understood that what we're being taught in the schools and in the whole culture, it's all cheating. They're deliberately hiding from us. I don't know deliberately, because everyone's in on it. That there is a whole dimension of existence, metaphysical, spiritual, which they just want to deny. The mechanistic worldview, which came in with Francis Bacon and then Charles Darwin and everyone else in between and afterwards. But all over because I used to read a lot, fiction, non-fiction, and one thing I read a lot of what they call folk stories and mythology from all over the world. I read Mahabharata in an abridged edition, so many things. And I realized that for all over the world, for instance, there's talk of ghosts, which means there's life after death. And so there is, I mean, ghosts isn't the best example of spirituality, but it means there is a whole dimension of existence, which you just want to live in denial of it. So that was it. Anyway, I realized that I have to find God, and I don't know how I'm going to do it. I need help. And I got this book, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I'd seen on TV 2 years before that. I didn't watch TV. It just happened to be on in the room when I was there. Well, I did watch one thing. It was a comedy show. Monty Python's. It's famous. Anyway, I got that book and I realized, okay, I just can't sit around. I've got to make a move. And I thought, what's in that book? I don't believe that anyone's walking the talk. It all sounds very good, but are people actually living this? I went, I saw they're living it, and then I thought, okay, I have to commit. So that's it.
Beautiful. But the times you're talking about, this is in the 70s?
Mid-70s.
Mid-70s. Have you seen, has been a shift, during those times and the present time, the way the West looks, at things now? Have they really, accepted, the other dimensions of existence? Or is it still the same?
Well, it's very complex. The culture is changing all the time, isn't it? We're talking about Bharatiya Sanskriti. What does it mean? It's a term for a whole universe of disparate ideas. And even though, if we say Western culture or America, you've been in America, there's so many different disparate ideas and ways of looking at things. Right now it's a big cultural divide between the MAGA on one side and woke on the other. But in the 70s in the West, actually by 75 when I joined ISKCON, it was more or less dying out, which came with the hippies and looking at Eastern spirituality. The hippies were on their way out and the yuppies were on their way in. Young up-and-coming professionals. They went from this whole love and peace thing of the hippies, they went into, hey, let's make money. The next generation in the 80s was very, very materialistic and dismissive of anything spiritual. And of course, as Rajiv Malhotra points out, the Westerners made a very good job of digesting Indian spirituality, which in itself is a bit of an oxymoronic term because spirituality transcends India, although in this universe, it's been from this country where spirituality has been practiced in its most sophisticated form. So, just like yoga, nowadays they have the cat pose, the cow pose, and yoga is there in the West, but it's divested of its spiritual, which is actually meant to be a spiritual practice. And
it's a darshan.
Sorry?
It's a darshan. It's a philosophy.
Yoga darshan, yeah. Patanjali yoga darshan. And the physical part what is that? There's, actually even before there's the yama and niyam, but that you don't hear about. And then only comes asana, pranayama. So yes, it's changed. There was a feeling, and of course we're talking in very broad terms, when I was a kid, that India is a land of spirituality. I think that's largely lost now for two reasons. One reason is that the spirituality has been digested. The New Age, what they call in the West, and you have Westerners teaching the same concepts, often divest of the original deep spiritual content. And another thing is that India is largely defining itself in Western terms. Success means GDP increasing, more factories, more technology. India should lead the world by spiritual leadership, which it has the tremendous potential to do and should do so, because the world has never been more confused than at this time. You talk about, what is that, the Sahibs who never left? Actually, our Śrīla Prabhupāda, he told us that also. He said Nehru was made in London. That was one of his slogans. So defining the success of this country in terms of, it's a materialistic outlook which has come from the West. Consumerism, having more gadgets to play around with, but the great strength of Bharata is the Atma-gyan and the culture based on that. And of course, it's not that everyone traditionally in India has been highly spiritualistic, but Dharma has always been on the background. Even the very word Dharma. Now we talk about Hindu Dharma, Christian Dharma, but originally Dharma, it doesn't mean a sectarian religion. It means that which sustains, you know very well, it means that which sustains existence. And that was very strong when I first came to this land, in this lifetime, in 1976. It's an interesting mix. You asked me one question and I've gone off this way.
No, it's okay. Let it flow. Not a problem. So when you read this book,
yeah,
Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
yeah.
What did you feel?
Well, I understood. I wouldn't have read it in the first place. It said it's a translation of Śrīmāda Bhagavatam. Now, that means it's scripture. And at that point, although I told you I'd read a lot, I wasn't interested in reading someone else's idea. Someone pops out up somewhere and says, this is my idea. This is śāstra. This is not something which someone made up yesterday. This is coming from a divine source. So I read it. I already had awakening in my heart, a little feeling for Krishna. Because like I said, I'd read translations of Mahabharata. I'd read a translation of Bhagavad Gita, only the verses. Couldn't understand anything. But at the end, the author wrote, I can't remember whose version it was, "May Lord Sri Krishna bless you." And I thought, that's very nice. So reading about, there was some feeling, just in a very nascent state, feeling for Krishna. And I know this is deep. This is something from a culture going back way, 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 way back. It's not something, like I say, it's not something someone dreamed up yesterday. It's substantial. So I read it, and I couldn't understand much, again. But anyway, I went through the book. I was just reading one chapter a day. I wanted to read more, but I knew that at the end of it, I had to make a decision. So I was just reading one chapter a day. And then I read it, and then, that was it. I decided to go to the temple.
And then you decided to come to Bharat?
No. I was living in Ireland. At that time, there was no ISKCON center in Ireland. So I got on a boat, went to England, went to the ISKCON temple there. Actually, I was thinking maybe I should go to India before all of this. But then I thought, I saw so many hippies. They came back from India and they have a few stories to tell. They smoked some pot and they didn't seem to get much out of it. So I thought, what's the point? Yeah, then I was mercifully allowed to join the ISKCON center in just outside London. They actually thought I was a Christian when I first went there because I didn't have long hair. It was mostly people were joining were hippies. And I was challenging because I wasn't going to accept that. I said, if you can convince me, I'll stay, but I'm not going to be convinced very easily. So I was challenging. So they thought at first they thought I was a Christian. So where are we going? No, I joined in England, and then just about a year later, I first came to India in this lifetime.
In this lifetime?
Yeah.
That is important,
Yeah.
You came back again in this lifetime.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. And how long did you stay? Where all did you go?
After coming?
Yeah, after coming to India?
Well, I first came in 1976 at the age of 19, just for a short visit for 6 weeks. I visited Mayapur, the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Vrindavan. And I think that was pretty much it. Delhi, Calcutta, brief. But then in 1977 I came with the idea to stay, and more or less I have done ever since. I've been based.
Oh, that's a long time, eh?
Yeah, when seen in terms of eternity. Markandeya Rishi. He went through the whole universal destruction and everything, and it was just like that. Lomasha Rishi has so many hairs on his body. He's standing outside meditating, and someone says, there's the sunshine, there's the rain, there's the wind. At the end of every lifetime of Brahma, one hair falls out, and he has millions of hairs on his body. And only after they've all fallen out, then he'll die. So someone says, why are you meditating outside? At least you could have a little hut. He says, I'm only here temporarily.
And how did you see this entire hippie movement, What was that, eh?
What was that? I came toward the end of it, got involved a little bit in it, got out of it quickly. Yeah, it was an extraordinary time. People were searching. Many people were searching for a higher purpose in life. They saw that what had happened, there was, after the Second World War, then America became very rich, very prosperous, very powerful, and the American dream was fulfilled. Everyone, even an ordinary worker, can have a car and their own house and everything. And they thought, that's it, we made it. But then the younger generation coming out of this, they weren't content with all that materialism. And especially when they went into the Vietnam War, what was America fighting for in Vietnam? Can anyone say no? They said, we're trying to combat communism. What do they care? There's some people in a jungle on the other side of the world, they're communists. What are we fighting for? I don't give a damn. Next stop is Vietnam. And it's 5, 6, 7, open up the pearly gates. There ain't no time to wonder why we're all gonna die. There was a song saying, what is this war? Protests against the Vietnam War, and then it's such a big thing. People started growing their hair long, men growing their hair long in opposition to the standard crew cut American. They more or less rejected the values of their parents. There's so many songs about this, Bob Dylan songs. So they rejected the values, including the conservative values of having a family, and then they then say, no, we'll have free love and free sex, and let's take drugs. It was a big mix. I wrote about this book I just wrote, The Mood and Mission of Śrīla Prabhupāda. I wrote quite a bit about the hippie movement, because Śrīla Prabhupāda said that Krishna created the hippie movement just to make a good situation for my preaching, because people were very open at that time to different ideas. The more different it was, the more they were open to it. And there was a lot of looking to the East, books by Hermann Hesse. They were very influential. Tibetan Book of the Dead. It's not a major book in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, but somehow it became very big in the
West. Yeah.
And there are other books, Jack Kerouac and the Dharma Bums, and people were reading these kind of things and trying to align themselves with Eastern values. There were many gurus coming from India. Actually, the first time I saw Śrīla Prabhupāda's books was that must have been, I guess, 1973 approximately. I was still at school. And my good friend at school brought some. He said, I went to London over the weekend. I met some Hare Krishna people. They gave me these books. And he was very enthusiastic to show them to me. Bhagavad Gita as it is. And I believe the other book was Sri Ishopanishad. I said, I don't see these books. I know these Indian gurus. They're all cheaters. That was the impression I got. There was this Bal Yogeshwar calling himself God. When were you in America?
In 90s.
Oh, in the 90s. There was a different era already in the 90s. Bal Yogeshwar calling himself God, and there are different Indian gurus coming and having sex with their female disciples, and I wasn't very impressed with it. I knew there's spirituality in India, but the gurus who are coming, I wasn't impressed. It took me a little time to find out that Śrīla Prabhupāda was different.
Did you meet him?
Personally, yes, but not much personal interaction. Actually, I don't have all my books here because one of them is out of print. It's called My Memories of Śrīla Prabhupāda. Personally, I only had one time personal interaction with him. Otherwise, seeing him in talks. Once I went on a walk. He used to take walks in the morning. I went with a group of devotees with him. But I rarely met him in his books, which after all, a guru, you may say, well, he smiles nicely, or this or that, but the real essence is teachings, because guru is a teacher. So Śrīla Prabhupāda committed his writings to books. And also his disciples, they represented him to me. I had his books, but I'd started to read his books, that one book. But then how to chant on the mala, how to put this Vaishnav tilak, and why and how to do it, how to dress like this, they represented him to me. And that's still true. Everyone who comes to ISKCON today, they meet Śrīla Prabhupāda in his teachings and his followers. What is that? Atma Jayate Putra, that you're reborn as your son. Your son is so the disciple is if he's a true disciple, he should be the same as the guru, should be able to give the same gift as the guru.
And how did your family take it,
I was already out of my family. I didn't even know where I was. It's Indian people, especially of your generation, can't relate to this at all. But I left home at age 17. I didn't tell anyone where I was going, and they didn't seem to be that much bothered anyway. The word family in English has a very different connotation to what it has even now in India, but that's changing.
That's a sad part,
Very sad part. And it's again coming down to accepting Western values, commercialization, the individual over the group.
Actually, I was coming to this now. If I have to ask you, what changes you have seen in Bharat in the last 40 years,
Hindutva has come up. Among the young people, many young Hindus, there is a strong sense of identification as being a Hindu, which when I first came, it was going the other way. And that was also largely, I believe, due to Nehru and company saying that the temples of modern India will be the factories, Shram Mandir. So that was very much there. And people were saying, well, it's just a bunch of rituals and no one, what's the point? And young people at that time in Delhi especially were very rude, often, to me, going like this. So that's come up. But on the other hand, it's the actual spirituality or the sense of Dharma has come down a lot, which is why we'll find in the family, why should people marry? It's a matter of Dharma, Grihastha Ashram. But nowadays it's more or less, it seems to be like a business contract. You see the potential spouse in terms of how much money they're going to bring. The husband or the wife is seen as an ATM, and everything's in terms of money. So the sense of Dharma has very much decreased. That's it in brief. And of course there are so many changes. Technological development, tremendous change. Driving in Delhi in 1976 at night, all the roads are potholed. There's no street lights. There are no people around either, because people would go to sleep. But I think Doordarshan finished broadcasting at 10 o'clock, and then everyone would go to sleep, if they even had a TV, which is very unusual. So a lot of technological progress, but a lot of societal regress. The values are really, really badly going down, and the gradient is getting steeper.
So let's talk about this, because you say that, the society, unfortunately, in Bharat is becoming sick.
Yeah.
Would you elaborate, why would you say that, what exactly is, no, it's very important,
I'm laughing because...
Yeah, because it's very important to do the course corrections.
Right.
And before that, it is important to point out to the people, to what great legacy, parampara they belong to, which is very unique in the world, This is, a land of some great rishis, great siddhas, great munis, in great paramparas, So, it's important that people know and understand this, and do the required course correction immediately before everything is finished, decimated, and this is what, is happening very, 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 very rapidly, today. So can you just elaborate,
I was laughing because I was thinking, you want me to explain how society is sick. But I would just say, look all around you, everything. I mean, just the air we breathe. There are people right here in Pune, who from the moment of their birth to the moment they die, they'll never breathe in fresh air, clean air, and not one single breath in their whole life. The water is polluted, the air is polluted, the food is full of chemicals and plastic and processed food, and the mind is polluted. People, they can't feel secure in their job, in their marriage. Why I was laughing, it's something like a fish in the water doesn't even realize he's living in the water. So we're in such a terrible situation. We just take it as normal. That's the way it is. Because young people growing up, they don't know anything different. So the fish in the water doesn't know he's living in water. So the young people growing up don't realize they're living in a disaster. It's not only in India, but why, as you say, why should it be here? India should be leading the world by spiritual values. Previously, although Naranam cha naradhipam, among men, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I'm represented by the king. So previously, certainly the kings, secular leaders of mankind were respected. But the real most respected in Bharatiya Sanskriti and the most influential have not been the kings and the Shivajis, and all respect to them, and Tipu Sultan, also very Aurangzeb also. In the political history, these were movers and shakers. But the real shapers of the culture whose influence continues over centuries are the Acharyas. People maybe not even know the name of Adi Shankara Acharya. In Tamil Nadu, if you say Ramanuja, people think of the mathematician. But Ramanuja Acharya, such an influential Acharya, most people have never heard of him. Such great, powerful Acharyas. They have shaped the way the whole cultural life has been and developed. Their influence, they're the really great people, but people don't know. So it should be broadcast. Lokasya janato vidvans chakre sattvata sanghitam. In Srimad Bhagavatam it's stated that lokasya ajanataha, people in general, they don't know. Therefore, vidvan, this refers here to Vyas, he made Srimad Bhagavatam to inform them. So ISKCON's major contribution is distributing authentic śāstras, Gita, Bhagavatam, with authentic commentaries. Whereas we have nowadays these new versions of Ramayana with Sita fighting and just messing up the whole story. But authentic śāstra. Now, people are going to read. We have to inspire them to read also. ISKCON also has programs for training people in training course, online and offline, training people to study śāstra. The repositories of all the wisdom is in śāstra. People should know that. But it is a sad state of affairs. What do you think? What about young people today? Do you think do they know the names of the 4 Vedas? Do they even know there are 4 Vedas? I don't know. How many chapters in Bhagavad Gita? I don't have a clue.
Yes, you're right. Over the last few decades, especially after the independence, and this is what we have talked about in our film Sahibs Who Never Left, Our generations, they went through ideological subversion.
Yeah.
So we were kept devoid of, our own roots, our own culture, our own traditional knowledge. And that is why we came in this state, and this is why what you're saying is so true. That because of this, people became self-loathing. They did not have, any understanding of their own cultural, civilizational roots. But one thing is there, that slowly that awareness is coming up now.
I would say not only did they not have awareness, but as you point out, the Sahibs Who Never Left, the ideological undermining of the Bharatiya Vigyan. Of course, Vigyan is independent of Bharat, but it is propagated from this land. So the ideological undermining of that is going on up to the present day. It shows actually how, in an indirect way, it shows how substantial is the spiritual and civilizational culture of Bharat, that the British felt that they had to undermine it in order to rule the people, and that up to the present day, the ideological war is going on from Harvard and the BBC and so many outlets undermining everything that is traditional Indian. So it stands to the greatness and the substantiality of this culture that they feel they always have to try and undermine it. I don't think they did that with when they went to the Islamic countries or when they went to Africa. Yeah, people don't know. It's the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the example of someone who's wandering around as a poor man, and someone comes to him and says, "You don't know that your father was a rich man. He buried treasure for you, but you don't know about it. I'll tell you where it is, but you have to know how to dig for it also. You have to know how to get it out, which side to come, which side to dig from." So it's like that. Śrīla Prabhupāda would quote a Bengali saying, what is that? Apan dhan bilaya. What is it? What do you know that Bengali say? Apan dhan bilaya, bika kare dare dare. You throw away all your own wealth and then you're begging door to door.
Swamiji, what are the main symptoms of this sickness, that you are concerned the most?
It ultimately comes down to ignorance. And that is well known in Vedanta discourse, that the root cause of all problems is ignorance. If we think that we just have one life and we have to enjoy it as best we can, then we're definitely going to be misled. And ignorance of even how to enjoy this world, how to live happy, even if you are not very spiritual, there are certain facts that's covered in Bhagavad Gita, that if you think you'll enjoy your senses, let me eat whatever I like, however I like, whenever I like, let me have free sex left, right and center, doesn't matter what other people think. The actual result of that, as Krishna points out in Bhagavad Gita, is that you become miserable. It's counterintuitive. It seems that if I just enjoy, I have this strong feeling, I want to enjoy, but it actually results in misery. Vishayandriya sangyogam yatthadagre mitopamam pariname vishameva tatsukam rajasamsmitam. That is rajasic sukh. In the beginning it seems like nectar, but in the end it turns to poison.
Beautiful.
Just materially speaking, we see, just like this whole civilization, you make all kinds of facilities for roads and infrastructure, but in the meantime, people are breathing in poison food. There's more mental anxiety, more mental illness than at any time previously, and drug abuse, and alcohol is everywhere. In Gujarat, there's no alcohol. It's forbidden by law, and it's everywhere. There are wine shops, and for the people in the villages who don't want to pay the tax, you get it cheap. 10 rupees, one packet. And alcohol is everywhere. And these are symptoms of, if you need alcohol to make your day, then you're not living a fulfilled life. If you can't have a relationship, you get married and you can't sustain that relationship, that means there's something seriously wrong, and if it's a pattern repeated in society, it means there's something seriously wrong with the whole society. Can we just observe the symptoms? Why don't we just take a look, slow down a bit, stop running around here and there, just slow down a bit and say, they have what is that? India today has these enclaves, and they all discuss about development and this and that.
But conclaves.
But what is the direction? We just presume that if we have more jobs and more money and then more infrastructure and more, that things are going to get better. But have a look, things are getting worse. The whole world is running on this consumer principle, right? You have to buy things. You have to develop the economy by making more objects to sell. That's why there's planned obsolescence. You buy a new smartphone and the next model won't be released for another 2 years, but it's already designed. But they want to sell you this model, and then when everyone's got that, then they sell another model, and then the other one will also be ready. And it's going to break. They give you a 1-year guarantee, and it's designed that after 1 year it all starts breaking down. And you have piles of garbage, landfills everywhere. Okay, so it's consumer society. To keep it running, people have to keep on buying things, buying. And why are they going to buy it? You have to create a desire in them. The most popular drink in the world is Coca-Cola. Would anyone ever buy Coca-Cola if it was just sitting in a bottle in the shop? No, I haven't drunk for decades, but it never tasted nice to me anyway. And anyway, you can make more healthy and more tasty at home, just some nimbu pani. Why would anyone? Because they advertise it. It creates desire. So we have a situation in the world where even if they've got enough of everything they need, they feel, I need more.
No, that's the Western model,
That is the Western model.
West has given to the world.
That is the Western model, and it means that whatever you have, you're always dissatisfied. And spiritual culture, which was especially prominent in this land, means whatever you have, you are satisfied. So what is better? To be dissatisfied in the midst of plenty, or to be satisfied? Yavan artha prayojanam. Just whatever you need, that's all. There's enough in the world to fulfill everyone's needs, but not enough to fulfill their greed. It's simple, straightforward wisdom.
So this is also another Western concept, Swamiji. That this is only one life, and you enjoy, and you do whatever you want to do, because it's going to all get over. And now this concept has come. They have a kind of come up with an acronym called YOLO. From the timeless Vedas to the valiant warriors, from the wisdom of the rishis to the dreams of a new Bharat, our civilization has never stopped inspiring the world. Prachyam, the world's first Indic OTT, brings the glory of Bharat to the world. 400 plus films and series. From history to heritage, from devotion to discovery, every story is an offering to our eternal civilization. From G20 to Tokyo, the world is witnessing the voice of Bharat rise again.
बहुत बड़ी सनातन की सेवा हो रही है, ज्ञान का पुनरुद्धारण का कार्य है।
Prachyam is doing an amazing job.
60 साल में हमने जो खोया वो वापस लाने का काम कर रहा है।
आपका ये प्रयत्न ईश्वर की आराधना ही है।
Your contribution is not a donation. It is an ahuti in this Mahayagya of the Indic Renaissance.